you share them with. And it's life, and the point is enjoying who you share it with.
All right, this is another episode of Field Tested with Brad Arington, and our special guest couldn't be any better of a leader. We talk about leadership and followers and how to build a great team. Number one best state in the country, our governor, Brian Kemp. Mr. Brian Kemp, pleasure to have you on today.
Thanks, Brad. Enjoy always being with you. Appreciate the kind words.
Yes, sir. Well, you know, it's always a pleasure to have you and Miss Marty down, and we always have a great time. And the duck hunt this morning, and to have you out and the outdoors and try to get Miss Marty hooked on another chocolate lab.
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully I'll be successful leaving here again without a dog, which is not what y'all want, but I need one more year.
That's right. I understand that. Got to stay focused. Well, give us your advice. Give the listeners your advice. We talk about, you know, here at Mossy Pond, we build a team of dogs. We build a team of guides, a team of dog trainers. It is all about building a team, how to follow, how to listen, and then how to lead. You know, how not to be over the top, how not to push too hard, how to have that balance to lead properly and to follow properly. And in my opinion, you're one of the best leaders there are. You know, you lead our great state of Georgia, and you help lead our country. So give us some advice on what it is to be an amazing, great leader.
Well, I think you make some good points in introducing this segment that we're doing, because it is, I mean, in jobs like I got, you got to be a leader. You got to make tough choices at times. And, you know, especially during COVID, civil unrest, you know, you didn't know if the decisions you were making were going to be right or wrong, but you had to make them.
Yes,
and if they were right, fine. If they were wrong, then you had to make another decision, figure out which way to pivot and to go. And you just have to really be focused and believe in what you think's the right thing to do and lead your team to do that. But I also think you make great points in that sometimes you just have to listen, which I certainly did that then. I was listening to a lot of different voices, you know, our public health director, Dr. Toomey, hospital CEOs. Then on the other side of that, I was hearing from business people that were like, hey, we're fixing to lose everything we got. And so being able to listen and take all that information in really helped me be a better decision maker. And then you got to have a good team. Like, it's just impossible in a job like I have to do everything. And we talked about this morning when we were hunting.
Yeah.
You know, I had a small construction company back in the day, was building and developing, and did a lot of things myself, very hands-on, very much a micromanager, probably to a fault in some ways from a business perspective. But when I got involved in government and running executive branch offices when I was Secretary of State, and then obviously in the governor's office, I mean, you just have such a big job. You're managing so many people. You have to get good leaders around you that when you hire them, you got to make sure they believe in the things that you do, like being conservative from a budgeting standpoint, you know, small government, less regulations, just believing in the things that we believe in. But then you also got to let them go out and, you know, run their shop, run their, you know, agencies that they're in charge of. And, you know, they have to know too, like, when's a decision or when is there something that the boss needs to know about? And you have to believe that they'll run those kind of decisions up the chain when they need to. And I've been very fortunate. I've had a lot of great leaders that I've worked with in the office that have helped run state government that, you know, are conservatives like me and believe like I do and want to keep our state number one for business, want to have the state be the best place to live, work, and raise your family. And that not only has something to do with the business environment like you have here, but also just the quality of life that people get to experience when they're at Mossy Pond or anywhere else around the great state, whether it's rec ball, which we talked about, being able to be outdoors, whether you know, hunt and fish, or whether you're, you know, visiting state parks or going to football games or, you know, whatever. And it really takes all of those things. And I've been lucky to have learned over the years and seen a lot of great leaders that's helped me really become the leader that I am.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I know it's tough. You know, of course, I I had a mentor coming up in dog training, and I was doing well. It's difficult to be a listener and a follower as well. Um, and that I know I struggled with it at a young age. I thought I knew more than I know now. And what is some advice that you would give on a follower or a young person that wants to advance and has the talent and the capabilities to advance in any profession they're in, and they want to be a leader? They want to be the quarterback of their team. They want to be the CEO or the boss or the owner one day. As they're climbing that ladder and as they're being a better teammate and a listener and a follower, what is some advice that you would give those folks?
Well, I think, when you're at that level, showing people and teaching yourself really that you can be a team player and be part of a team is going to be so important when you get to that stage in life where you are the leader, because you're going to have to be able to lead that team, and being part of one of those teams early in your career helps you understand. I mean, in a lot of ways, kind of starting at the bottom, working your way up in the organization, it lets you know about all the different things that all the people do, and they're all important. Right. And it's the same thing in state government. It's like the people that are answering the constituent affairs phones, or the people working at the Department of Driver Services that are renewing a license or giving somebody their license. I mean, their jobs are so important because they're the face of the government that I'm running right
Sure.
now. And if people have a good experience, then that looks good on me. And if they don't, it looks bad on me. So I think being part of those teams and learning, how you be a good teammate, also watching and seeing how people do different things makes you decide, like, what is my leadership style going to be? One of the things our middle daughter, who's now a state trooper, she had to do 3 1-month training, field training at, she was field training with another trooper. Wow. 3 different ones for a month at a time. And so she got to see
3 different ways of doing
how
it.
they stop cars, and, right, how they handle different situations. And it kind of helped her develop and see, like, where her style would fit into that. So I think it's important for young people to do that, because I think it'll make you a better leader when you get in those positions, having said, I've been there before. And I used to tell people all the time, like when I was running the construction company, I tell people when I'm, not to this day when I was governor, like, I've done everything you've done. I've dug ditches,
right.
I've tied steel, I've poured concrete, I've run equipment, I've laid buildings out, I've picked up trash, I've run forklift. I mean, and so, I'm never, I'm not going to be that kind of guy that's like, doesn't understand what is going on through the whole organization. I think that's very important. And I learned a lot of that when I was Secretary of State, because you had to run an executive branch agency, which I never really had a lot of experience in, being a small business owner, because I didn't have an HR department. I didn't have a legal department.
That's right.
I didn't have a government affairs department, right, and I didn't have, 250 employees. So when you start having to deal with all those things, you understand why it's important to get a good HR person and have a good legal team that believes like you do, and, will fight for the things that you believe in. Because I've had lawyers that represented us before that didn't fight for what our beliefs were.
Sure.
And we had some headbutting in regards to that. So I kind of learned a lot of those things too, which really helped me when I got in the governor's office to not only have had legislative experience and learn how to work with other people to get legislation passed, my colleagues in the legislature, the different advocacy groups that are out there. But it also helped me in the governor's office to be able to work, with the legislators, but also be able to run executive branch offices and understand, how hard those rank and file employees are working every day, and that
right, every job's important. It takes every piece of the puzzle.
It really does.
And we have definitely totally different than what you do, but we have 96 employees here, and every piece of the puzzle to have that elite standard, it takes every one of them. And I think something I coach my team on here is to take pride in your job, try to stay on your island, and try not to do other people's job, and take pride in yours, and understand that every piece of the 96, I mean, even the guy that washes the dogs and cleans up after the dogs, I mean, it takes that for us to go win the Super Retriever Series and Carter to perform on national television doing it. And if we don't have every piece of the puzzle working, just like on a football team, I mean, the linemen are important, the wide receiver, the quarterback, center, it takes every one of them. And that's something that we coach, and it goes hand in hand with exactly what you said. Everybody's got to do their part. And
because you can have just one part of that team not perform, and it makes the whole organization look bad. And if you have a customer that has that experience, that one, even if it's just one experience, then you have somebody that's out there, saying, "Hey, I don't know if I'd go there or not." And the same thing politically, if you have those people out there saying that, it's people may not vote for you the next time. And so it's very important for me. And I always tell our people, look, we're not going to always be able to give every person the answer that they want, which is a little bit different in your business, because if your customer wants something, y'all try to make it happen, and you just pivot and do that. We can't do that when you're following a law or rules that are in place, or somebody's wanting you to do something that would be improper or you can't do, or maybe it's a federal issue, not a state issue. And I tell people, look, it's fine to tell people we can't help them. If we can't. If we can, we'll try to.
That's right.
But if we can't, we just need to tell them and be honest with them.
Yeah.
Not give them the government runaround, so at least they get an answer. They can move on and try to work on something else, or move to, a different, the federal level to fix their problem or what have you. But I said the worst thing we can do is give somebody the government runaround, or don't tell them anything and have them out there going, they never got back to me, or, they didn't respond, or what have you. And it makes the whole organization look bad. So we're very, very focused on constituent services and making sure that, even if people are mad, that we're at least being truthful and honest with them. Because normally when people calm down, they're like, well, I didn't really like what they told me, but at least they were, got back to me and told me something.
And that builds a better team. I mean, whether we're talking about a team of baseball and football players, if they don't understand the assignment or don't know how to do it, if they would just speak up and tell the coach would go the extra mile and teach them or talk to them about it. It's just like some of our employees out here. They don't want to give the boss the bad news, but if they would tell us, one of the managers or myself, then we would be able to assist them and help them, and they would advance faster that way. And what I've noticed, and I didn't know this at a younger age, that when you do that, you get more respect than if you sugarcoat it or don't speak on the matter.
Well, that's a great point. And that's one of the things that, like, when we're hiring people to run, different agencies, our executive team, like when I interview people with them, I'm always saying the one thing we don't want is we don't want to be blindsided. We don't want to read about something that's bad happening in the paper.
Just tell us
without us knowing about it.
That's right.
You're gonna. I mean, basically, and I tell them, like, you're gonna have problems or a problem, and when you do, you just need to let us know. We'll help you work through that. It's gonna happen. So don't worry about trying to mask over it, or be scared to tell us about it, because, I don't want to read about it in the newspaper and then have to call you and go, what in the world's going on? I want you to come to me and go, hey, this happened. This is what the situation is, and this is how we're dealing with it. Or we need you to help us deal with this. And we can do that, because it's just part of it. And that is one of the most important things for us in our organization, is try to stay ahead of those bad stories and make sure that we're addressing things before the public even knows about it. Because they don't necessarily like that something like that happens, but people also are very understanding. They know, there's certain agencies that we have, they're just tough to run. It doesn't matter who the governor is, and you're going to have problems there. But we just got to be honest with people. And when we have a problem, we got to try to fix it. We got to tell people what we're doing to fix it. And, you see that in the modern world of business too, with like, when companies get hacked or have data leaks or other things that happen, and now you see people right away that come out and go, this is what happened, this is the actions that we're taking, and we're going to fix this. And that's how you just have to own things, and that's what we tell our folks.
Nobody likes to be blindsided. The anybody a part of any team doesn't like to be blindsided on the top side or the bottom side. Be transparent as glass, and you'll gain respect on both sides.
Well, you will. If you're one of those people that's doing that and being transparent and owning a situation and being forthcoming, like, that will help you move up quickly. That is a great leadership trait. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for problem
Amen.
solvers. They're looking for people that aren't going to run away from a problem, and just people that are going to own it and say, hey, this happened, and let's fix it and try to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. If there's ever been a difficult leader, it is definitely your position. And I thank you so much for what you do for the great state of Georgia and for our country and everything in between. Thank you today, Governor Kemp. What a special honor and guest to have you on today. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to our listeners for being here today. This is another episode of Field Tested with Brad Arington.